The alarm on my wrist screen blinks red for the 12th time in an hour, and my hands are shaking before I even open the channel. Another cadet has triggered a distress beacon. That makes 31 gone in under 6 hours, and the storm has not even reached its peak yet. I am Vren, senior proctor of the Class 9 survival drill, and I have never seen a class fall apart this fast. 48 cadets dropped onto the surface of Kesh 9 at dawn, bright young officers from a dozen worlds, chosen for their strength, their reflexes, their armor, their claws. They were told to reach a beacon 18 Kelix north, using nothing but a multi-tool and their own instincts. No weapons, no shelter but what the jungle gives them. The jungle is giving them nothing. I watch the feed from a orbital relay, my claws tapping against the console as another name blinks out of the active list. A young officer named Priya, strong and fast on her homeworld, sits curled against a tree root, her breathing ragged through the comm static. She activates her beacon without a word. I do not blame her. The rain here falls cold enough to freeze a heart that never learned to survive it. By hour 8, only 9 cadets remain in the field. The storm has passed, but the heat behind it is worse, thick and wet, pressing down like a hand on the chest. I watch a cadet named Daniel drop to his knees near the river, his suit sensors screaming warnings about his core temperature. He does not get up in time. The retrieval skiff has to lift him out unconscious. 8 left. Then the real danger wakes up. The HFY is not something we announce to the cadets before the drill. It is the reason Kesh 9 was chosen at all. A predator the size of a transport vehicle, silent despite its size, capable of closing the distance between itself and its target faster than most species can turn their head. In 11 cycles of running this drill, it has ended 4 careers before they even started, and shaken far more than that. Motion sensors pick up its heat signature, moving through the canopy, heading straight toward a cluster of 5 cadets who have banded together near the halfway point. My hand hovers over the emergency recall switch. I do not want another incident on my record, but recall this early would end the drill for everyone, and the Academy does not forgive a proctor who panics before the situation demands it. I watch instead. The 5 cadets freeze the moment their own sensors catch the movement. One of them, a broad-shouldered officer named Marcus, tries to organize the group into a defensive position, back to back, the way his training taught him. It is a good plan for a world where predators announce themselves with sound and scent. It is a useless plan here. The HFY does not roar. It does not need to. It simply appears at the edge of the clearing, low and patient, its attention already fixed. All 5 beacons go off within seconds of each other. I exhale something between relief and disappointment. 5 more gone, but 5 more alive. That is the only outcome that matters in the end. 47 cadets recovered, treated, and humbled. The drill has 1 hour left on the clock, and only one name remains active on my board. Nora Whitfield, Earth origin. I pull her file, while her tracker shows her moving steadily through the last stretch of jungle, past the very clearing where the HFY just cleared 5 other cadets from the field. Her pace has not changed. Her heart rate, according to her suit telemetry, has not changed either. I check the sensor twice, certain it must be malfunctioning. It is not. I read her homeworld classification and feel something cold settle in my chest, a feeling I have not had since my first cycle as a proctor. Sol 3, Earth. Environmental rating, Deathworld, confirmed, level 6. I have proctored cadets from worlds rated as high as level 3, like this one, and watched them break. I have never had a level 6 on my roster before, and reading the number now, I finally understand why the rating board argued for weeks before they agreed to create it. Gravity that shifts across the surface of the world itself, weather that levels cities without warning, predators larger and faster than the one currently patrolling this jungle, and an atmosphere thick with enough oxygen to be dangerous to species like mine. And somehow, standing at the top of all of that, is a species that hunts the predators anyway. I watch Nora's tracker move past the den, where the HFY rests, after its encounter with the other cadets. She does not speed up. She does not change direction. Her heart rate ticks up by only a handful of beats, the kind of change I would expect from someone climbing a short flight of stairs, not someone walking within 200 lengths of a creature that has ended careers before. At the 11-hour mark, her tracker crosses the flooded section of the river that took down 3 cadets earlier in the day. She crosses without slowing, using a fallen log I did not even know was there until her camera feed shows it to me. At 11 hours and 20 minutes, the hailstorm returns, the one that caught most of the cohort in the open with nothing but their suits for protection. I watch her build a shelter out of broken branches in under 4 minutes, a technique I do not recognize from any manual in Academy records. She sits under it, dry enough, waiting out the worst of the storm as if she is waiting for a transport that is simply running a little late. At 11 hours and 31 minutes, she reaches the beacon. I meet her there in person, because after everything I have watched today, I need to see this cadet with my own eyes. She is calm. She is not out of breath. Her uniform is soaked through, and when I ask her if she is injured, she shakes her head and wrings out her sleeve instead, looking mildly annoyed. I ask her, because I need to understand, how the drill went for her. She thinks about it for a moment, like she is trying to remember something noteworthy, and comes up empty. Fine, she says. A little wet. I ask about the HFY. I ask if she understood what she walked past. She says she saw a large animal resting near the trees and decided to give it space, the same way she would step around a sleeping dog. She asks if it was something she should have worried about, and there is genuine curiosity in her voice, not fear. I do not know how to answer that question honestly without unsettling her, so I simply tell her that most cadets consider it the most dangerous part of the course. She looks surprised, glances back over her shoulder toward the jungle, and says that back home, that thing would not even make the news. I ask what would. She lists off, without any drama in her voice, storms that flatten towns, animals larger than the one she just walked past, heat that can end a life in an afternoon, and cold that can do the same overnight, and predators that hunt in packs smart enough to plan ahead. She lists these things the way another cadet might describe the weather on a normal day. Then she says the only thing that actually bothered her out here was the humidity. Her uniform will not dry properly in air this thick, and she asks if there is any chance the Academy could note it as a discomfort for future drills. I stand there longer than I should, processing the fact that a cadet who just outlasted 47 of her peers on one of the most dangerous training worlds we operate is filing a complaint about damp clothing. I write my report that evening, because regulation requires it, whenever more than half a cohort fails to reach extraction on their own. I record, honestly, that 47 cadets required recovery due to environmental hazards and predator activity, consistent with the world's rating. Then I add a second line, because the record deserves it. 1 cadet completed the course without any recorded incident. Her only listed concern was the moisture in the air. I recommend, at the end of my notes, that the Academy consider recruiting more heavily from Sol 3. Species that treat a Level 3 Deathworld as a mildly inconvenient afternoon walk are worth understanding better, not just training alongside. The recommendation is turned down within the week. The committee's reasoning is that cadets from Earth raise the difficulty curve for everyone else simply by their presence in the same drill, and that too many of them would turn Class 9 into something closer to a formality than a test. Privately, I think the committee already knows what I have learned today. I have seen what an ordinary day looks like for a species built by their homeworld to survive conditions worse than anything we can safely simulate here. And it looked like a young woman sitting calmly on a fallen log, wringing water out of her sleeve, while the single greatest threat on this entire training world slept peacefully behind her, completely beneath her notice. I have already requested a transfer to a different training cohort for the next cycle. I would like, at least once, to run a drill where the planet itself remains the most dangerous thing in the room, and not an afterthought to whoever happens to be standing in it.